Eventually, you learn that monsters have nightmares too. What? Did you think that monsters were simply these stone-hearted, unfeeling creatures? Did you think that they actually wanted to be under your bed and inside your closets by choice? Humans always were a strange bunch. Like viruses, they infect and drain every remaining resource they can exhaust before moving on to their next ready prey. They couldn't even cooperate with their own kind. They were parasitic, cannibalistic towards each other's lives and opportunities. And when the monsters saw them coming, they knew that there was no point in trying to bargain or reason. In fact, the very name humans had given them, the very slur of monster, common definition being large, ugly and frightening imaginary creature or inhumanely cruel and wicked. It completely erased everything worth knowing. It dismissed their cultures, their identities. It completely erased who they were, instead twisting and playing on the narrow-minded human perceptions on what they thought they knew about them. Man's greatest fear is the unknown, and unknown they became. Disappearing into the shadows and cracks behind people's minds, the monsters watched as thousands suffered and died at the hands of these men. They watched as others were labelled with similar slurs as them, enslaved and tortured for property, possession and for punishment. The aliens decided to move on. Their slur was one of being excluded and not being welcome, so they took the hint and left. Different variations of Yeti and Hairy Man found no appreciation of their treatment in kind, so they moved away as well, choosing to isolate themselves from these humans in their invading ways, burrowing away under the ice, cold enough to freeze the hearts of all who might try and find them. The Fae too decided to leave. Their tactic was to turn the humans' narrow-mindedness against themselves. After all, if a human didn't understand it, then by rights it surely couldn't exist. It was just wrong, or plain silly. So thus the fair folk made use of their fairness, and disappeared away out of touch from anything that was fathomable. The only thing that ever really stayed were the ghosts. Ghosts and poltergeists. Perhaps it was the strength in the human souls, or how hot their spirits blazed out against the rest of the world, but the humans had ways of shaping their worlds to suit them. And just like how their tracks and clever machinery cut and bit and tore up the earth around them, so their words and ideas irrevocably changed the way reality was perceived in turn. The ghost's existence turned towards the humans, becoming tied to their spirits as one who had passed on. Shells now unrecognisable, nothing more. The poltergeists too had become tied, though to a lesser extent. They still retained the freedom to roam where they wish, though they had still been altered towards a human plane of manipulation. The monsters, however? Well, I guess you could say that they're connected too, in a sense. No one really knows. Ghosts and poltergeists are one thing. You can trace the ties back through common ground or a connecting factor. Monsters, however, they're something different. They don't operate the same as the rest of us. They don't exist along the same platform. They don't have the same line of standard. Like I said before, when everything else was getting hunted into extinction or scrambling to cut ties and escape, the monsters disappeared into the shadows. They were melting into the cracks and crevices. They were hiding behind the darknesses in people's minds. It seems illogical for something to be depicted as only dark or evil, this one black thing among a world full of grey areas. Yet that's what people have done, since the dawn of time himself. In a world full of personal motives, outlying factors, and independent influences, it seems strange, to say the least, to heap a creature or a thing into one very two-dimensional box. And yet, that's what has been done, and what we see being done time and time again. The monsters have nightmares, child, and it's of humans. They fear the very things that created, changed them, and made them who they are.